Hello friends, SimPilot here. Welcome back to another tutorial in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Today's tutorial is going to be cold&dark startup of the Airbus A320, flight programming in the MCDU, and getting this baby ready to taxi for our departure. Right now we are parked at Frankfurt International Airport at gate 14 in a beautiful Lufthansa livery, and the flight we are going to do today is going to be from Frankfurt to Copenhagen in Denmark. Without further ado, let's jump into the cockpit and let's start this baby up, shall we? As you see, the cockpit is in a cold and dark state. Everything is black, and we will go through the startup sequence from cold and dark to taxi ready with you guys in today's tutorial. And in the next episode we will do the flight from Frankfurt to Copenhagen. We will look into our departure, what we need to do during our climb, and then how we calculate our approach and some approach calculations around flap settings and approach speed and so on and so forth in the next video. First things first, let's turn on the batteries. Battery 1 on, battery 2 on. Now we have power to the aircraft. We can turn on the nav light. Beacon light will come on when we are ready to start the engines. Until that point in time we will leave it alone. As far as light goes, that's it, and we can arm the emergency exit signs. Oops. And as soon as you turn on the batteries, I advise you to turn on the ADR system to align, because it takes 7 minutes, and that message is displayed on the eCam when we turn on the external power, which I will do right now. And the screens are going to do a self-test, and you see the packs are kicking in, so the air condition is running. We can even start accepting the passengers and start the boarding, but I'm not concerned about that right now. So as you see, IRS in a line, 7 minutes. Let's turn on the brightnesses of the screens a little bit so that we see them a little bit better. That looks good. This one looks good as well. So the IRS system, or ADR system, is aligning. In the last episode I called that as a GPS system, but it's more than a GPS system. It's called Air Data Inertial Reference System, which displays the navigational data based on your position when the system aligns itself. So right now let's turn on the brightness for the MCP, integrated lighting, and the screens, as well as the integrated lighting of the pedestal panel. And if we go to the overhead, we can just turn on some lights, integrated lighting there too. So from this point we are waiting on the IRS to align, because we cannot do anything with the MCDU without aircraft knowing its position on Earth. Until that point, I'm going to go through some of the buttons that I forgot in the previous episode. I overlooked probably. The localizer button engages the localizer mode and makes the aircraft align to a localizer that's tuned into the nav radio. Expedite button is to manage your altitude and expedite your climb to the selected altitude when you are in selected altitude mode. And by the way, if you are in charge and that dot is disappeared, that means it is a selected altitude mode. You are selecting the altitude that you want to fly at, and pressing the button, the expedite button, will climb you to that altitude. Or you can also click to the down arrow one more time. Clicking up will switch it to the selected altitude mode, where your altitude is controlled by the autopilot based on your selection. The other thing I forgot to mention is this vertical speed selector knob. This knob adjusts your climb rate in terms of vertical speed, and it's displayed here. Whatever you place there, the aircraft will climb at that rate if you are managing your altitude. That's how you set your how you select your climb rate. and pressing the up arrow will return it back to selected managed mode, not selected mode. So when there is a dot, that's managed mode. When there is no dots, that's selected mode for Airbus A320. So those are the buttons I forgot to mention. And the last one I want to mention is this chrono button that also gives you a chronometer on the ND, and it starts counting as soon as you press the button. Pressing it for the second time will pause it, and pressing it for the third time will reset the chronometer. We are using the live weather, so I'm not going to set the altimeter. It's 29902 at the moment. If it was live weather, you would have to listen to the ADIS or simply press the B key on your keyboard to set the altimeter setting. From now on, what we are waiting on is the ADIR system, which has 6 minutes still to align, and I don't want to make you guys wait, so I will bring you back when the system is aligned. Welcome back, friends. Now the ADIR system is aligned, and as you see in the background, I asked for the power supply and baggage and catering service just to show you the door page. So if you look at the lower ECAM display, the door page is displaying that 3 doors are open: front cargo door and the cabin door at the back for the catering truck. And we have the jetway connection, so the cabin door at the front left side is open as well. So the GPS is aligned. So now we can turn on the flight director, which I think one of the things I forgot in the previous video. Flight director, when it's turned on, enables the flight mode enunciations displayed on the pilot's primary flight display right at the top. And as you see, when I turn it on, it says climb, nav mode, and they are in blue. And the LS is the landing system. When you turn it on, it displays your glide slope and localizer when you are doing an ILS approach, but we don't need it at the moment. We will turn it on when we are landing or approaching to the destination. So now it is time for us to take a look at the MCDU. This is the home page of the MCDU. First we need to we need to go to the initialization page and plug our route. And I created a flight plan using SimBrief. Our destination today is going to be from Frankfurt International to Kastrup in Copenhagen, Denmark. So let's plug that in there. Echo Delta Delta Foxtrot / that's the cargo door closing, and as you see, baggage loading is done. Echo Delta Delta Foxtrot to Echo Kilo Charlie Hotel. Okay, we plug that information in there. Press the return button to go to the previous page. Our flight level for today's flight, according to SimBrief, is going to be 26,000. Yes, 26,000 feet. So let's change that for the cruise flight level 260. Plugged it in there. Cost index for today's flight is going to be 5. Let's plug that in there. By the way, I don't think cost index has any effect in the simulator at the moment, but I just put it there anyway. So this has 2 pages. To scroll through the pages, these are the buttons that you need to press. Let's go to the next page. This is where you set your zero fuel weight and center of gravity. And right now it is taking it from the simulator because I haven't changed anything here. So it's taking the default, and that's correct. Block fuel is 10.6 tons or 10,600 kilograms, and it's displayed on the upper ECAM display right here. So that's also correct. You don't need to mess with any of these at the moment. From here, now it is time to plan our flight. We go to the flight plan page and we click the from, and then from there we click the airways. We will select our departure and arrival later after we plug in our flight plan. So our flight plan today, as you see down here, starts with maroon. Maroon 2 kilo is our SID. We will plug that in later, and we are departing from runway 25 left, if I can speak. We are departing from runway 25 left. So maroon, let's just put maroon in there. M-A-R-U-N. And like in the Cessna CJ4, right hand side is for the airways, left hand side of the screen is for right hand side of the screen is for the waypoints, left hand side of the screen is for the airways. So maroon is a waypoint and we are directly going there, so we plug it into the right hand side by clicking that button. Next one is an airway, Yankee 150. So Yankee 150 to here. We are using Yankee 510 to reach to Tolgi. Tango Oscar Lima India Golf. Oh, wrong. Golf India. That's there, and then from there we are going directly to Zotac. Romeo Oscar Sierra Oscar Kilo. To here, and it will display direct. And we are taking Quebec 296 airway, Quebec 296 to Monac. Mike Oscar November Alpha Kilo. And then from there, this is our star, Monac 2 Delta into runway 30 in Copenhagen. So this is the route information. We are going to insert this. And now if we look at the ND and move to the plan mode, we should be able to see our flight plan right here. It doesn't have any SIDs or stars at the moment. Now we will plug them in. From Frankfurt, our departure is going to be from runway 25 left, and Airbus has a reverse logic. To scroll down, you need to press the up arrow. To scroll up, you need to press the down arrow. So it has a reverse logic when it comes to the scroll buttons. So let's scroll down to see the other runways available. 25 left is here, and Maru 2 Kilo is our SID. We will pick that, and we don't have any transition. We will insert this into our flight plan, and as you see now we have additional waypoints plugged into the MCDU, and if we want to scroll down again, it's the up arrow, and it shows us all the waypoints that will take us to our first waypoint, which is maroon. Okay, go back to flight plan page. Destination is Copenhagen, and our arrival is going to be to runway 230, I'm sorry, and we are going to do an ILS approach to 30, and Mona 2 Delta is our star. We are going to select that, and it will be carried over to here. We don't have any YS, so we will insert this. This is all you need to do to plan your flight in the Airbus MCDU. It is this simple. And now we can go and check our flight plan through the ND by scrolling down. So if I keep my cursor at the up arrow, let me get a better view. When I scroll down, it will cycle through the waypoints, as you see, and because we turned on the constraints button, we are seeing the restrictions here. If I can change the range just to have, okay, that's not gonna help, looks like it is making it more clogged. We have a 3000 restriction over here, 3,400, 5,600, so on and so forth. So those are the restrictions at these waypoints, and they are also displayed over here. as you see. 2670, 3470, and it's rounding them up to the nearest 100. 5600, so on and so forth. So let's keep scrolling down to check our flight plan one by one, waypoint by waypoint. Okay, that's Lisku at 6000, Tabum at 6000, Lixi at 6000, Lorpa at 6000. Maroon doesn't look like it has a restriction. Even if I see 6000 here, it's not displayed here. That might be a bug. Maroon at 6000, Tolgi, again nothing is displayed here. I don't see anything. Skip that. Rozok, Monarch, and CDA. This is an abbreviation. I need to look it up. It is telling us. Hold on. I will tell you in a second. I need to look it up. I don't remember exactly. It will be a second. Continuous descent approach. Well, it says continuous descent approach, but it shouldn't be there. We are not at our approach yet, I believe, or I might be wrong though. Oh yeah, we are at our approach. I'm sorry. Monarch is our last waypoint, and then our star begins, and this informs us that we are going to do a continuous descent approach. That means we are not going to stop at a certain altitude at any waypoint. We will be descending continuously all the way into the runway from this point on. Okay. Cubis, decelerate here, drop your speed. Final turn, I believe. No, not final, but and then all the way into the Copenhagen runway 230. Looks good. Our flight plan has no discontinuities, so everything looks good, and we planned our flight. So now we need to calculate the performance. The V speeds are calculated automatically based on our payload and the fuel and the takeoff weight of the aircraft and the center of gravity. All we need to plug in here is the flap settings that we are going to use, which we will be using flaps 1, and THS is trimmable horizontal stabilizer. So that's pretty much your takeoff trim, which is this guy over here, and what you want to do there. So right now we don't have any calculators built into this mod. Therefore it's not functioning at the moment. But how you usually plug that in is if there was a calculator calculating this, flaps 1 / and it will give you something like up 0. whatever or down Delta November 0. whatever. So I will use it as an example, and let's say we had a calculator and we calculated that we need to be at up 0.2 trim setting. We plug that in there. Flex to temperature is another calculation that we don't have at the moment, although there is a website that helps you to calculate this. If you look for Airbus takeoff calculator, this one over here, that top one, is a calculator to calculate the takeoff performance. You enter the airport information, and then it will get the weather information and take that into account when we are calculating our takeoff. Flaps 1, PEX will be on, anti-ice will be off, and the runway is dry. And if I hit calculate, okay, it gives me something. Oh, runway, I haven't selected the runway. 25 left. Calculate. You giving anything? Okay, T flex right here, 67. So that's what we need to plug in there. 67. And you have to deal with this a little bit more to enter your takeoff weight and all that stuff, but I just wanted to quickly show you this calculator. So we'll use that as an example. So now this is our takeoff calculation done. Okay, go back to performance page And I think we are pretty much done with the MCDU at this point. Performance looks okay. Initialization, we already did that one. One thing we need to change here is the transition altitude. I think it's 5,000 feet for Germany. And this thrust reduction acceleration altitude is where you switch your throttle from the flex detent back to climb detent, so that the aircraft knows that you are at the climbing phase of your flight, and you can plug a different altitude there if you want to, and it will reduce the thrust to climb, and it will start climbing from that altitude on all the way to the altitude you set, or the initial altitude that's given by the ATC. Speaking of ATC, I was not planning to use them, but let's just ask for clearance and see what they are going to give us. Okay, so let's read that back and we will talk about it.
Lufthansa 647 cleared to Kastrup Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 25 center climb and maintain 12,000 feet. Departure on 127.6 squawk 0243.
So actually the ATC is asking us to depart from 25 center, which is not a problem because 25 center left and right are using the same SID. So we can go in, go to back, get back to your flight plan, departure, and then change that runway to 25 center. Okay, and then we are going to do, I think if we do 25 center, it is going to be this one or that one, if you want to. So this is what I wanted to show you. Looks like the SID, not the star, the SID is changing, and I'm not going to mess with that at the moment. But you can, and if you don't want to, you can click back and temporary erase so that you can go back to your original flight plan that you planned. The other thing is we are cleared up to 12,000 feet, so that we will set altitude to 12,000. Okay, and then they have given us our squawk code, which we need to plug into our transponder. This is why I wanted to ask for clearance to demonstrate that part. Okay, squawk 0243. While we are on the ground, we can leave this at auto, and the TARA can stay at standby until we are ready to taxi. Not that one. So this is altitude reporting. We can turn it on, and our squawk code and our TCAS system is set. All right. So everything looks good so far. Our flight plan is complete. Our clearance is given by the ATC. Our performance is calculated. And only thing we cannot do at the moment is the wind calculation for takeoff. It's not functional at the moment. With the current version of the mod. And that's going to be it for the MCDU. We are pretty much ready to start the APU so that we can ask for taxi clearance. So I forgot to turn on the nav lights. You have to turn them on as soon as you power the aircraft to let ground crew know that aircraft has electricity. Right now we are going to turn the APU master switch on, and we will wait. As you see, the ECAM, lower ECAM display switched to the APU page automatically, and it's displaying the information for us right now. And as soon as we see the flap open message here, we will start the APU. In real world, before you do that, you have to run the APU fire test. I am skipping the fire test because this is a simulator, and every time and each time this test will run okay without any problems, just to save some time. So start, and the APU will start kicking in, and we can go outside and see if we can listen to the APU. As you see, it is spooling, and it is starting. Let's go back inside, wait until it reaches 10 or 100%. The EGT exhaust gas temperature is rising, and while we are here, this is the temperature, true air temperature, and the other one is, I think, called standard air temperature or something around those lines. I really not know or not sure about the difference between two, but those are the outside air temperatures that is displayed on the ECAN. APU is starting now. It's almost done, and we will be ready to get rid of the ground power when that happens. Okay, looks like the APU generator is online. Now we can turn on the APU bleed, which we are going to need for engine start and also for the packs, and we will turn off the external power and ask the ground crew to get rid of the ground power unit, which they already did. Cool beans. So the APU is running, everything looks good so far. The last setup that we need to do is turn the terrain on ND display. Okay, and we will probably turn on the weather advisory system and wind shear system when we are holding short at the runway. But now it is time to ask for taxi clearance. Let's do that, and let's ask for taxi.
Ground Lufthansa 647 with whiskey ready to taxi IFR.
You can do this right now, or you can do this after pushback. I prefer to do it right now, and I can deal with the pushback tag later on. Okay, 119.905. Let's set that to our standby radio. 119.905. Oops, going to the wrong side. There you go. So it can stay at standby and acknowledge the clearance.
Taxiing hold short runway 25 center using taxiway November 7 November 4 Lima 1 Lufthansa 647.
So now we can ask for pushback, but before that, because of the current state of the autopilot in this aircraft, I don't like to do managed speed. I'd like to manage my speed myself. So I'll go to the performance calculation page. Our V-rotate is 125. Okay, I'll come up here, press down once, and I will set this to 125 plus 10, so that I have a visual reference of the speed over there, and I will gradually increase this as we start to climb and keep it below 250 knots, below 10,000. Okay, so now we can request the pushback tag.
Frankfurt ground Lufthansa 647 requesting pushback.
Lufthansa 647 pushback request accepted.
Cool, the tag is coming over. It is going to push us back. We can start the engines while we are pushing back, but I'm going to wait until the pushback is complete, and I will start the engines after that, just to have enough time to discuss some stuff with you when we are starting the engines. Okay, we can release the parking brake right there. parking brake is off, and we started our pushback. And I think I need to ask for a left push if I'm not too late, because I don't want to run into a building or a ground vehicle or whatever. It is always a gamble to do the pushback in the current Microsoft Flight Simulator ground services. I hope they will improve this in time. Let's see. Okay, I think we can stop the pushback now.
Frankfurt ground Lufthansa 647 requesting the end of pushback.
Almost nailed it. Just a little more. But okay. So now the pushback is complete. We'll set the parking brake and we will start our engines. Engines ignition switch to ignition, and we'll start engine 2 and go outside and see engine 2 spooling. It is spooling now, as you see. We can get rid of that window. And the engine, the lower ECAM display switched to the engine page over here, and it is displaying the engine information over here. M1 is rising, EGT is rising, N2 is rising. And you probably are hearing the engine sounding or spooling at the background. They should stabilize around 58, I believe, and the M1 will stabilize around 19%. What is going on? Okay, the throttle. And this sound you are hearing is the PTU, power transfer unit, kicking in for hydraulic power. So that means now we can start engine number 1. Also, we can set our flaps for takeoff because we have hydraulic power, and we can arm our speed brakes. And engine 1 should start spooling here in a second. There you go. Okay, let's monitor the progress. And you see the ground spoilers armed, messages displayed, parking brake is on, predictive wind shear system is off, which we will turn on before takeoff. TCAS is at standby, and APU bleed is on. So now, because we are ready to taxi, we can turn on the TCAS to TARA, and altitude reporting is already on. And that message is gone. As after you turn it on, that message is disappearing from the ECAM. I couldn't speak for a second, brain frozen, sorry. So now both of our engines are stable, as you see. Oops, what's going on there? Hold on, give me a second, I'm gonna adjust my... Okay, don't yell at me. Okay. It was my joystick calibration that was out. So now we are ready to taxi, and obviously I forgot to turn the beacon light on, which I should have done before starting the engines. We can turn the strobe to auto, and we can turn on the nose wheel light to taxi. So that will make us ready to taxi to the runway. And sorry about the light switches, I always keep doing this. That's my bad. We can turn off the APU, and we can turn off the APU bleed because we are running on engine bleeds right now, and you can see that information here, the bleed air system. Oh, we can't. It is still under construction, I guess. I hoped we should be seeing the information here, but apparently we are not seeing it. Well, okay, that's fine. That is fine. We are cool. So now we are ready for our taxi to the runway, which we are not going to do in this episode. I am assuming we have the passengers, so we can turn on the seatbelt signs. Oh god, I forgot a lot of things. How bad pilot. How a bad pilot. That's okay. That's okay. So you know the basics now. Light switches, yeah, you can turn them on. I forgot to do them in an order, but before engines you turn on the beacon and you leave the strobe on auto when you are taxiing until you are holding short at the runway, and you turn it to on when you are at the runway threshold, or holding short point, not threshold. And emergency, not emergency, seatbelt signs are turned on before you push back from the gate. So that's all you need to do. And as you see, because now we are ready to taxi and take off, this is our takeoff configuration check, which we will do at the holding short point. And if you see a blue message, that means you need to take care of this before doing whatever is next. But we will do it when we are at the runway threshold in the next part. Okay guys, so this is how you plan your flight, program the MCDU, power on the aircraft and get it ready for taxi. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and turn on the notifications to get notified for the next episode. And I will be seeing you in the next video.